beard.
I need to do that today, actually.
Yeah.
I got real lazy with it over the holiday.
Yeah. I was pushing like high levels of homelessness. Yeah.
Getting weird stuff stuck in
managed
it.
to get past that. So welcome to Taylor Alexander on a Tuesday. Which I mean that's even better than Tech Talk on a Tuesday, quite frankly. It's good stuff. So I was thinking about just like how many updates we have to give on the up. There's tons, lots of stuff. I should have had more coffee. I got up at 4:45 this morning. Yeah. Which is actually like that part's pretty normal. The working out at 5 so that I can make coffee and head out to the beach for sunrise is not normal, but necessary.
Goals. That sounds awesome.
Yep.
How do you work out? What did you do?
So I do boxing in VR actually on the Quest 2. Super fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And like while I'm utterly and completely out of shape, still like 15 minutes of that sweaty nonsense.
Totally.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And then we got a Peloton this year that I have been judiciously ignoring for the last 6 weeks. So I hopped on there and cranked out a little workout on there too.
Nice. We got one. I think it was sometime in 2020, and I was doing really good. I had like 38 weeks in a row.
Nice.
And then I did like 40 weeks of nothing. So
yeah.
That's one of my things I'm trying to do this year too.
There you go. Yeah, it was so easy to kind of fall off everything during the pandemic. Like, yeah, everything's fucking crazy. We're all adapting to, all of this stuff as much as we possibly can. And of course, like I know for you and obviously for me, like life went fucking bananas in the best possible way, frankly, right? Like we accomplished ludicrous things last year. But at the same time, it was at the expense of taking care of my meat robot and, eating like a sane person instead of a 13-year-old who just wants ice cream. Yeah. Right. And so, yeah, it's like the whole rebalancing thing for what, I mean, I think like by any measure, 2022 is going to be as nuts as 2021 for our ecosystem, right? For, NFTs and art and metaverse. And
I hope so.
I mean, we can make it happen, right?
100%.
Like every NFT, like the reason why there's a crypto winner, for centered around Bitcoin, generally speaking, is because it's so much of a whale, right? Like it we talk about in the bear market, especially like Bitcoin's dominance will go from 20% in a bull run to like 58% in a bear market, which basically means that like Bitcoin accounts for 58% of all cryptocurrencies, right? Which is huge. And we're subject to the whims of that beast, right? So it has these amazing, insane parabolic rises up, and then people take profits, and then people that are looking at the chart will basically say, like, I'm not buying in until this point, and that's why it does those cycles, right? And then of course there's like the supply and demand curve on mining and the halving and whatever. NFTs don't give a fuck about that, right? Now, like there is always the case that looking at alts, we would always look at, okay, so Bitcoin goes up really, really high. You would expect as people take profits, it makes sense that people will be looking for deals, right? So like you get into a Wax or into a Luna or into something that could 10x basically, right? With all of the profits that you make on Bitcoin. And so we're gonna see some of that. And we've seen some of that in NFT, especially with Ethereum. The two things. One is with Axie Infinity and with everything that's going on Wax, we're onboarding people that have never, ever owned Bitcoin and might never own Bitcoin. And there's way, way more people getting into NFTs than ever got into Bitcoin at scale, right? And Ethereum, is obviously going through all the crazy stuff that it's going through. It's doing the staking thing. So it's not really necessarily going to be subject to to Bitcoin's whims either. And Bitcoin's not done. So for me, like I think Bitcoin's going way over 100,000. I still think it's going to go to 240 before its cycle is finished this time. Who knows? And also, who cares? Right? Like, does it feel like anything's slowing down on Wax? No. There's a project launching every 10 minutes.
The opposite, actually.
Right. So that to me is like, that's why I'm sort of like, okay, I really need to get my physical health and my, mental and soulful balance. I need to get my head screwed on straight because this ain't over, right? Like it's like, buckle up because it's going to be it's going to be a whole other year of insanity.
I'm looking at it like I didn't even see last year coming. Like I had no idea any of this was going to happen. I got
me neither.
Blindsided in the coolest way. And so I'm like, okay, I took that punch, and I mean this I'm using a fighting metaphor for reasons I don't know, but probably because it felt like a punch in the face before that. But I'm like, now I know what to prepare for a little bit. I'm still learning every day, and doing this podcast, which is launching later this month, has been helping me learn. Having conversations like this with you helped me learn a ton. But I'm actually writing a song about it too. It's like, how can I best optimize the work I'm trying to do, get my physical body in shape, get my mental game in shape, but also balance all of that because it's all brand new,
Right.
And try to prepare for just try to be as prepared as I can. I approach it the same way creatively. It's like, I feel the most comfortable when I'm most prepared, and I don't know what exactly to prepare for with this coming year. So I'm like, let's try to do a bunch of new stuff.
Right. I think preparing for change. Yeah. I mean, I think this is the story for the entire future, to be honest. Like, the only way to prepare is to get better at learning and get more capacity to be able to exert more energy for longer consistently. Right. And like, obviously not, go so hard that you end up, burning out or whatever. Right. Like that we've been in a sprint, and now like there's going to be so much opportunity that the desire to sprint for me is really, really high. And I'm like, you don't need to, and you can't, right? For me, like I, just physically can't do what I did this year. Cause towards Christmas, like I was starting to crash pretty hard. I mean, that's why the sunrises came back, right? Like I need to just own the fact that like my brain is only so big and can only do so many things a day for so long before it's like, fuck you, I'm taking a nap for a month, right? Like you just gotta figure that stuff out.
You can demand as much as you want. The brain and the mind can demand as much as you want, but at some point, if you redline it for too long, your body can't
100%.
The older you get, the harder that
right.
is to.
Well, I almost feel too like and this is right. I was I'm going to do gigs this year. We're actually moving up to Hollywood, where there's a couple spots to do stuff. So, and that's like the soul battery, like being connected to the big why, the sort of the grander vision, because it's really easy to get into the weeds, into the details with the kind of stuff that we get to do all the time. Again, there's like so much opportunity. You dial in and start building stuff. It was getting to the point where I was starting to lose sight of the bigger picture, and that's not as fun. Like that's where all the fun is to me, right?
It's easy to do. I mean, you gotta cut yourself a little bit of slack. Like the last 20 years have been all about the hustle, and like everybody's accepted that, and we've been like, okay, I guess we gotta hustle, and especially the last 10 years. And it's like, maybe the next 10 don't have to be as excruciating, and we can, not necessarily sit back, but have like we said, more of a balance, more of a flow state, if you will. Can I play shows with you, by the way?
Bam! What's that?
I said, can I play shows with you, by the way?
Dude, yes. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I can. I can see it right now. I'm like, let's do it together. I would love to help you with getting that soul food back, because that's one thing that I can't live without, and one thing I've been so grateful. I only took 5 months off throughout this whole thing, risking my life and other people's safety. I realized that, but I had to do what I had to do. And I want to do more of it this year. I'm trying to book out 38 weekends. I'm trying to play as much as I can. I want to travel more, come to new markets, see our NFT people wherever they are,
Yeah,
and
I like that.
Do a lot more of NFTs that create utility. Like I think I see a huge opportunity in creating NFTs for live performances, whether it be like a ticketing situation or more like there's four of these one of ones, and each one is redeemable for a live house show. I'll come to your house. I'll cook dinner for your family and your friends and play a show. Something like that. Something super special and unique.
That's awesome, right? And really, like we've seen, I think whenever musicians or artists are thinking about what they could do, just go look at Patreon, right? Like everything they did on Patreon could very easily and way more entertainingly be an NFT, because after it's redeemed or whatever, like there's just so many things you could do with the tech the way it is now. And Michelle and I were talking about, because we've had this dream of buying a sailboat for a long time, and if wax goes up, anywhere near where I think it's going to go this year, like we'll sort of be in the market to grab a little catamaran. Just like, let's get it done. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is Jimmy D, we're gonna like Airbnb it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because like that, one of the things we like are the best times we've had this past year. Michelle actually booked a sailboat just off Key West. You have to get a ride out there. You're basically stuck out there for a weekend. It's goddamn amazing. You're like,
I would love to do that. We've been talking about going to Key West. That sounds amazing.
I'll find the link that like where we went.
Okay.
It was just on this I think it was like a 42 foot, and it's like a relatively old boat. Just doesn't matter. You're just like out in the, it's just and there's kayaks. It's incredible, right? And it was like relatively expensive for an older boat. We were looking at catamarans, like minimum for catamarans it's like $1,500 a night, right? And sort of thinking like, that's insane. And exactly, right?
We
can't
afford not to do this.
Right. We were looking at it for around because we're gonna be up in Hollywood, a bunch of really sheltered, really amazing places. It's super easy access to the beach and boating and kayaking and all this crazy stuff. There's nothing. Well, like that's insane, right? So we get a little boat. We don't need to do $1,500. It's not Key West, it's Hollywood, whatever it is. But we can do a bunch. And then I'm thinking like, why couldn't I think that we were thinking about doing like, $50,000 or something like that or whatever, like putting down on a boat. Like, what if I just sold, 50 NFTs for $1,000 and it's not a night, it's like 3 days. Boom. Right. Like, and maybe they sell out, maybe they don't. Who cares?
Right. And if they do, then it's you're getting your investment back. And then it's like, see, that's the way to make your money and your effort work for you. Because you have those times like that where you're on the catamaran for a week. You can come back recharged and you can bust out. You'll be able to sprint for another week, Yeah. And that's what I'm excited about is expanding on what we really want to do for fun. And figure out those.
Could you imagine too, like
that's where you get the lifeblood to create, and
right. One of those NFTs in the packs isn't just a weekend on the boat. It's a weekend on the boat where Taylor and Corey will actually play an evening of music on the boat for you.
And I'll grill you steaks.
What the fuck? This just got deep like that, right? And this thing is like, it's all the extra stuff that we can do that I think it has all the juice to it, right? So anyway,
totally.
there's so many things
like
we can do
intimately and in new ways. Like one of the things I've been talking about and really loving so much is the connections I've been able to make. Like, since when have I been able to have these conversations with other dudes across the country or across the globe? Like, there's a real camaraderie that I think we've been missing that we're all gaining here. And I think once the word gets out on that, it's game over because everybody's missing that. We're all so, I don't want to say thirsty, but just like yearning for camaraderie and for that
community and that community connection thing. It like, I mean, that's where, especially during the pandemic, I mean, this is how the Uplift started, right? I mean, we were getting together every week in the old cathedral and we were writing down gratitudes just because people really needed to feel that connection. And on top of that, people kept coming into the server and hanging out with their friends and family on the little plots that we were carving out even before we had NFTs. Because it felt like they were together and doing things together like that. Like you're totally right. Like that yearning is really, really deep. And I think it's one of the underpinnings of why the metaverse is very real and going to continue. Because we as hyper intelligent monkeys can feel connection. Doing this is great. There is another level to being in a place and doing things together. Like whether it's a game or whether it's a persistent universe like the Uplift or whatever it is. Like it's pretty nuts. So I couldn't agree more. Anyway, Jimmy and I am, if you guys are still here, by all means, write down our gratitude and comments and I'll put it up on the board. Taylor, what are you grateful for in this moment?
I am grateful for my health. I got sick over Christmas and New Year's. I don't think it was non-COVID related, but it was just kind of like down and out for the first time in in a couple years, which I'm super grateful for. And I'm starting to feel better, and I'm starting to just have a different perspective of this new year.
That's awesome.
Easy to take for granted, and I'm
easy.
I'm grateful for all the blessings I have in that regard. I've gotten a real awesome hand there.
I'm grateful for the book, The Daily Stoics. I've been reading it on during the sunrises. Basically, just gives like one little Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus quote every morning, and it just adds really, awesomely to the reflections and the kind of meditation for it. It's kind of a good setup, and just highly recommended anyway for anybody that wants to kind of learn from some of the greatest minds that ever existed. They kind of figured out this whole human being thing, like, about 3,000-4,000 years ago. Not that there aren't really amazing people that have figured it out today. I find like reading, like, the story behind Marcus Aurelius, right? Emperor of Rome, like conquered most of the known world, was kind of a big deal, but was writing down in his journal, in his diary, all these lessons and the things that he was going through at a pretty finite level, right? Like, he's doing this all the time. And before he died, he told his aides, just, burn this stuff when I'm dead. And they didn't. They published it. And it's nice. I mean, this is like fucking ancient Rome, right?
Classic
but it's
psychology,
right? Definitely don't publish this. But I think he meant it. And it really it's shockingly pragmatic advice for running your own brain, right? And the was it 9 short stoic rules for life? I actually sent this over to Austin Linney this morning, and it's just like stuff that if you read it, you're like, oh yeah, that sounds a good idea. Yeah, but if you master it, it will change your life, right? So number 1, focus on what you can control. You know how many people don't do that? You know how many times I don't do that, and it literally like robs my mental RPMs for an hour because I'm worried about something that I will not be able to materially affect the outcome of. That just doesn't make any sense. Like that one line.
That was such a huge mindfuck for me for COVID. I was like, I knew there's nothing I could do about it, and it drove me mad. Yeah.
Right. And that's just like, what can you do? And then suddenly the world opens up because you'll find something, right? Like that, whether it's, NFTs or online shows or whatever it is. This is the second one was one of my favorite ones, Own the Morning. I didn't realize this for a long, long time. Like the second this show is done, Taylor, I will have basically beat the shit out of today already.
Boom.
Right? Like legit. Like I've got a bunch of other stuff I have to do, but like, I get to count the day a win because I wrote down everything I wanted to get done today that was really, really important to me. And by 10 o'clock today, it will have been accomplished.
And if you give yourself that amount of time to do it, you will get it done. Like I that's something that I've learned to be true. Like, It's like, it seems overwhelming. Just say, okay, well, I only have till this afternoon to get it done. You'll get it done.
Yep.
Like if you practice it, but it's a daily battle for sure.
Yeah, it really is. Anyway, there's a bunch more. Study the Lives of the Greats being one. I don't know if you've listened to Tim Ferriss at all, but he did Tools of Titans, the book. And it's like, I was thinking about this earlier. Like, if I could only recommend one book to people, what would it be? And that probably would be it. Because, like, whatever direction you're going to take your life in, being able to spend time in a compressed way learning the absolute top lessons from the people that have performed the best over just pick any, silo in human endeavor. I mean, it's intense. It's intense. Anyway, I got to get IAM's gratitude here.
I like these. I want to hear more. Own the Morning, Study the Greats.
I'll worry
about what you can control, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. And I'll send it to you after too.
The Own the Morning one I really love because I figure I don't know if I've just stumbled into this, but like I grew up swimming, and I didn't like love swimming. I did it because my friends did it, but from like age 12 to 18, I was up every morning in the pool at 7 a.m. swimming, like working out frictionlessly. Working on my breath work. Like I don't know why I did it. I didn't really, like I said, I didn't even really particularly love it, but it taught me so many lessons of like getting up early, getting after it. Like it also, I think it helped my body for singing a ton just from all that breath work.
I think you're right. I was a lifeguard and a swimming instructor for a long time. And yeah, I mean, I used to, meditate at the bottom of the pool, like work on lung capacity or whatever. I think you might have something there as far as like
Did you do underwater laps, like 25 meters underwater?
Yep.
You guys ever practice that?
I got up to 75 meters.
Dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That has to correlate, right? Like I thought about that a lot.
It makes sense to me that it would.
Right. But also now my favorite creative time is in the morning. Like I get up and do all my best songwriting, all my best rehearsal between the hours of 7 and 10. Like if I don't get it done then, unless it's a performance later on at night, it's basically a wash for me. Like I don't know what it is about that time, but it's just like that's when my brain's ready to get up and get after it. So I really love that on the morning thing. That's cool.
That's awesome. I
Not
got
as cool as this build. What is happening here?
This is our office tower. So every morning when we do the Tuttle Huddle, and we've been doing it since the very beginning, we write down gratitudes for everybody on the team. And are there glass there? Donk. Yep. All right.
You could even do that in the metaverse,
right? And yeah, if it's possible to hit your head on a door, I will. But yeah,
there's nothing funnier than somebody walking into a screen door, man.
It's, I mean, very little. During our first full Tuttle Huddle, after we brought Tuttle onto the team and we really started to, get moving, I dug a hole down at the very bottom. There was nothing here. And we wrote these gratitudes down. This is month 1. This was the very first time that we started. Like the servers weren't even open yet. I think we had just done the first sale. And there was enough interest that we were like, oh, fuck, I guess we're probably going to have to get our shit together. Yeah. And so people didn't even know this was here for the longest time. And
then
finally,
pyramid.
Right, exactly. Finally, we burst out of the water a couple months ago, right? In November was the first floor out of the water. This one's obviously December, a little Christmas time. And now this was our first meeting in January.
Dude, this is so freaking cool. Before I forget, will you come on the Yoshi Drops the Mic podcast soon?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You just tell me when.
We're launching it middle of this month, and I think that we're using the first month and the first 4 episodes to kind of introduce our team. And I think that I would love to have you round out the month. I think it would be awesome to
be happy to.
Maybe we talk about, part of what we're trying to do is incorporate a specific song and have you talk about the creation and the inspiration of that.
Okay.
But I think that including the inspiration and the start of Uplift would make sense for this first episode.
Okay.
And then figure out a way to give away some sort of NFT and include some sort of thing like that. We're still kind of defining what that's going to look like and all that. But yeah, if we could do that in the next week or a couple weeks, that would be really awesome.
Yeah, we could totally do that.
It'd be my pleasure to return the favor and have you on as a guest on my show.
Sounds good. All right. So this one's huge. I don't know how much you have a problem with this one, but it's definitely chewed up a lot of my time. Don't suffer imagined troubles. So the whole
imagined troubles.
We suffer far more in the mind than in reality. Yeah. Right? Like worrying about stuff. Again, like number 1, focus on what you can control, right? But like that I succumb to that all too often. Where it's just like
don't
my brain's
focus on imagined worries. Is that what it was?
Don't suffer imagined troubles.
Don't suffer imagined troubles. What a beautiful way of putting that.
It's just solid.
That's lyrical right there.
Right? Find the good in people is number 5. Even that, just like the person who comes to mind instantaneously is Blue. Yeah. Right? As sort of my example for that. He's just totally. It's a superpower of his. This is another good one. Number 6, strict with yourself, tolerant with others. Yeah. Even just because like the amount of
so easy to be the opposite.
What's that?
It's so easy to be the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. For some people, yeah, for sure. Get one small win each day. I do 3, but it's the same thing. It's the same kind of thing with the own the morning thing, right? Like writing during sunrise, I write down the 3 gratitudes, and I write down 3 things that if you accomplished would make the day amazing. Tim Ferriss actually with the 5-minute journal, like that shit's legit. It's like 5 minutes of pure superpower, and it's cumulative, right? The more you do it, the better it gets. but just even that, can one of the Hustle House talks about this all the time, right? Like a grain of sand will build a mountain. He's proof of that. It's crazy pants. Now I don't do this one, but 8 journal. So, yeah, which makes sense. I mean, Marcus Aurelius kind of proved he took over the known world.
I mean, maybe journaling has evolved. I think songwriting is a way of journaling for me.
That makes sense.
The way I write is I get up in the morning and I come downstairs. I try to put in 15 minutes every day. I don't succeed every day, but some days I put in like 4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
But I just try to come down and just kind of improv, like if I'm working on a song, I'll rehearse that. If it's something new, I'll just kind of strum around and just kind of like sing my feelings. And sometimes I record it, sometimes I don't, but a lot of times that's where little song nuggets start. And then you gotta, just like you said, grain of sand, you gotta plant it and water it and dig up the dirt next to it and you gotta give it attention and love. And then sometimes a beautiful song comes, sometimes it's a dud and then it dies. But that's okay too, at least you're practicing,
Right. Well, and that consistency, good songs are inevitable. In my opinion, right? Well, for somebody of your capacity, there's definitely there's people where that might not be the case, but for you, I would put money on it for sure. I was wondering about that. This shows your journal, Corey. I mean, that's possible.
That's what I was gonna say.
And because we were pretty open about, I was thinking like, oh, do I really, get into the minutia of that? Because really the point is to bring people on and kind of celebrate what they're doing as much as possible. But I think you're probably right. That's probably true. I probably do that. Enough to make it good. And this last one is intense. Memento mori. Remember, you're gonna die. Just like there is so much requirement for urgency in this life to get the other ones right.
Yeah.
Because this is it, right? Depending on what you believe. But you might as well treat it like it's it anyway, because you're here. Might as well make the most of it.
Totally. That's probably the reason why I smoke weed, because it freaks me out in a good way. Like that paranoia where it's like, I remember, I know what's happening. This is actually incredibly scary and intense, but it'll be okay because I practice. I know how to navigate. I know where the signs are. I know where the warning signs are, and it's just a matter of doing dangerous things carefully. Like that's how you learn. That's a new thing I learned this week, and I was
dangerous things carefully. That's solid shit. I like that a lot.
Totally. That's how we learn as kids, and that's also how we learn as grown-up kids. That's the way I view myself. But
I like that.
It's like that's also where the life is. That's what's fun. That's what's fun about going on stage. That's what's fun about being a part of this new NFT stuff. It's like it's unknown. It's scary. It's a little dangerous. That freaks a lot of people out. But that's okay. Like it's easy. It's easy to get. You should be scared. Like this world is crazy. If you're paying attention at all, you should be terrified. Like, and I think that it comes back down to like being, like you said, like owning the morning, doing the creative things, trying to put our soul into stuff. That's what makes it worth it and makes it able to live in the wickedness.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much. It depends on what you focus on, right? I mean, if you focus on the negative, you'll always find it. Always, always, always. And it's not like there isn't enough real bad stuff going on the planet all the time.
We're aware of it all now.
Right? Well, and hyper aware, right? Because I mean, like the media writ large, whether it's like mainstream or otherwise, they're fully incentivized to flick you in the amygdala, the fear or flight part of your brain, because it's the easiest way to get an intelligent monkey's attention, right? And you don't do that by sharing positive stuff. You just don't. It doesn't work, right?
It's not the best way. Yeah.
Right. Like you'll get a 10x order of magnitude attention gathering by showing people a train wreck, which is just the science of it, right? Like we're put on this earth to, genetics has been helpful at spotting tigers, right? So we're very, very good at spotting tigers.
Survived. That's how we populated.
That's why we're all here.
Right.
Exactly. It's how every single one of our ancestors got really good at that, and the other ones didn't. Right. I mean, that's sort of all that stuff. Right. But I like doing an experiment where I took a year once and just watched a TED Talk every day, first thing in the morning. Changed my life. Right? You get away from the news, and like if you watch any of the news at all, like just stop.
Yep.
You're not going to be able. And as somebody who was addicted to it for a long time, like owning that for years, I was listening to like 5-6 hours of news a day. Why? Right? And because I thought I could, maybe inform people or maybe add to the discussion or maybe affect some positive change. Nope. Like
we were
scale,
taught current
not at
events
all.
are important, right? We were taught that current events, it's good to know about what's going on in the world, and the best way to find that used to be through the newspaper, and then it became through the nightly news, then it became a 24-hour news cycle. Then now we have podcasts, and I started listening. I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan. I'm open about it. I started listening to him in 2017 because I love comedy. It's my favorite form of entertainment, and I was like, oh, this is funny, like comics talking. Like I was on a road trip on the way to work on a weed farm in Humboldt County, and I just come off tour for 6 months, and I became fascinated with this new format of podcasting, and because of listening to podcasts every day for the last 5 years now I host a podcast. Now I'm in this space, and I've completely changed the way I view the world, the way I'm viewing my music career. It's been my source of truth, and an ability to trust somebody who's trying to bring information in a time where it's almost impossible to know who to trust. And all the old guards have been either compromised or are under a failing business model, so we're not getting the same type of information or the same quality of information that we used to get. And without good information, how are we supposed to make decisions with our lives? And I'm so grateful for podcasts for that, and for live streams and all this stuff, because this was never possible before. It was just hearsay. Like whoever was around in your circle, that's the best of what you knew. And
you trusted them because you didn't have a choice. That's the thing too. Like I remember that there's like a meme or whatever. Some guy at a bar in the '80s who was saying something completely and totally dumb with authority, and people were just like, yeah, okay, right. And now we're like,
used to just win arguments with lies.
I can Google that now, right? Exactly, right. Like if you just say something with with enough confidence, right? It would be what it was. And now, like, motherfucker, we could Google anything.
Anything.
Which I mean, that I love what you're saying. Like the podcast things. We've been given the tools to effectively decentralize, how we're spending time gathering information and, and giving it out, basically, right? And so we get to choose what to focus on as well, right? And there's like, we don't have a huge audience on this show, right? If I did the whole drama thing around EOS all the time, like if it was all combat and freaking trading losses and we could 10 to 100x the number of people watching this by tomorrow. But that's not the game for me.
Yeah, Joe Rogan didn't have any listeners for the first 4 years anyway either. It's like that's not the game in podcasting. It's about doing it consistently and doing it honestly.
Yeah, I think so. And
it's not about the numbers,
right? Well, and you build the community around it, right? Like that's we've got, and this year has been amazing for this podcast. I know like what Jimmy and I have planned for 22 is going to be fun too. Well, and now like we're not the only ones in our little ecosystem that are doing it, right? Like there's 2 or 3 more shows on the channel. Your show is going to be amazing, and I'm fully expecting more. I think that somebody doing like a full-on play to earn focus could put together a whole show that would get tons of people watching. Like that play to earn space, I'm just starting to see people now understand that there is more money to be made in play to earn than in all of the rest of crypto combined. And in a like that, genre now, we're gonna see the doges come out of that, right? We're gonna see the Lunas and the Terras come out of that. And where I mean, obviously Axie Infinity has paved the way for it, but on Wax, like there's 10 baller fucking play to earn games going on right now, and that's gonna one launching all the time, which is, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of duds. Like trust me, there's gonna be a lot of fucking duds, but there's gonna be so many of them that do really, really well, because we're all learning in this space what the coolest things to do, what the the ways to do it are, and because nobody knows, we're making the shit up.
There are no rules, which is my favorite rule.
Yeah, the best. I mean, actually, in Elon Musk, the best rule is no rule. It's
Seriously,
legit.
in creation, seriously, because when you start to put boundaries on it and you start to generalize shit, that's the beginning of the end. Because that's not what we do as creators. That's not how we're designed.
Yeah,
the whole point of creation is to make something out of nothing. You can't do that with rules.
Yeah, it's definitely harder. I mean, the rules of physics, but
and that doesn't exclude technique, because without technique and without training and without in drawing, if I don't follow a certain amount of drawing rules with perspective and depth and stuff, it's gonna not make for the best thing.
Well, yeah, you could just suck. I mean, that's like a thing that you could do. It's perfectly capable of creating nonsense. But there's sort of like value in a certain amount of order, and then I mean, that gets into the whole artistic and really even like technological creative process, which is endlessly fascinating for sure.
Well, they fuel each other, like for as long as if humans have been around, we've been using technology to create newer and cooler stuff. And in our lifetime, the technology capabilities got accelerated in a godlike manner, and we're just trying to catch up. And I feel like this space is a huge leap forward in that catching up, and it's why it's so accessible to everybody, because everybody understands art. Everybody understands how a great song makes you feel, and to be able to have a new way of doing that digitally, like, how could you not get excited about that? Like, Blue was talking about that on our first episode of the podcast. He was explaining it to his dad, and he was like, and then all of a sudden light bulb went off, and his dad was like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do something like this if you're an artist. And it's like, yes, that's the underlying truth of it all,
Right.
And I've been meeting with photographers, and I'm trying to build my team out in preparation for the future, kind of like we were talking about earlier. And I need help with social media and stuff. So I've onboarded a teammate, and she's a photographer, and I was trying to explain to her NFTs. And the second meeting we had over coffee, the light bulb went off, and I was like, I was showing her Atomic Hub, and I was showing her the Yoshi Drop stuff, and she was like, so it could be anything? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We were actually here's something crazy. Little tidbit of alpha for all the uplifters. Watching now or whatever. So we started toying, and like, I shouldn't be talking about this, quite frankly, because we might not be able to do it. Let me do all the normal caveats. This is totally an idea phase. We're doing the research on it. Bloody fucking blah blah blah. Like, this might happen. This might not. I think it's going to, but it might not. We don't know. We don't know, right? We're in the development phase. Caveats aside, how you host images on IPFS so that it's decentralized. So we're thinking about hosting the image for new land NFTs ourselves, and here's why. If we get this thing to work, we're going to be able to create one-of-one NFTs of your piece of land that will automatically update the image to show what's built there from DinMap. Like, every week, whatever you've managed to build will automatically show up on your one-of-one NFT. Yeah. We were tossing around that idea on the weekend, like, technically this should be feasible. I'm like, can we go to there? Like,
I want to go to there.
Right? It's amazing. Like all the NFTs now are like effectively, and I love the design work that our Dennis, our design guy, has done for the NFTs. They're just, I love the style of them, right? They're all the same, right? Every single NFT will be at base, will just be the actual land that's there, whether it's water, land, ice, mountain, blah, 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 blah. So like right off the bat, you have like a whole other level of fidelity, understanding what's going to be there, but to have it change automatically. And again, like, I don't know if the cadence will like maybe redo everything weekly or what, might be daily. I don't know. Right. But have some cadence where the actual NFT itself will automatically change every time you build something. Like, that's just like, awesome. This nipple's like hard, like diamond right now. That's awkward.
You got a black shirt on and I can see it.
Yep. Anyway, so yeah, and that like
might happen, might not. We don't know, but
yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, I think I would say it's relatively likely that or something really, really like it. I mean, we are going to allow for burn upgrades to some kind of NFT that will, be illustrating what's on the actual plot. Like that's something that's been on the books for a while. Yeah, man, our dev schedule is pushed out now for 6 months. Like we're going to be adding features that we know are amazeballs for 6 months. And then, we've got a bunch of stuff that is in R&D for after that. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy year for Uplift for sure.
It's so fun to be a fan and a friend, I got to say. Cool. It's so cool because every time I'm still trying to pick up the pieces of my mind after being blown. Like every time I meet with you, I'm just like, dude, I know I told you this before. I'm afraid of fully diving in because I know I'm gonna get obsessed. I already know it. Like,
yeah,
but I'm gonna do it. It's
like
one of those things.
It's the right thing to do, right? Yeah,
I'm slowly drifting that way.
Yeah,
and I don't want to.
Imagine starting a blog, like 6 months after blogs started, right? Imagine starting a podcast like 2 years before Rogan did, because that's where we're at right now, right? The people that work in this space for the next 10 years will never work again. Unless they'll never work anything they don't want to specifically work ever again. And I don't care if you're working an hour a day in this space or 10, right? An hour a day right now is worth 1,000 hours a day in 10 years. Right?
That makes me feel better.
it's real. It's real. It's like with the number of things that people don't know yet, all the tools that are getting built, this whole space is going to be mature probably in 5 years, actually, right? But like the work that we're doing right now, it's so amazing too. Like I actually had the first person who's like, "Oh man, I'm so late to wax." No,
I hadn't heard that one before.
Oh man, it's like you're wrong, categorically. I was looking at this. So Cardano, right? Cardano's in the top 5, has a market cap of 44 billion, and I think they're just now doing NFTs. Like they've actually got some things that are going on. Generally speaking, their tech doesn't work anywhere near as good as Ethereum, and Ethereum is problematic, right? So it's on Cardano's all on hype. And again, like the lead dev that built it is like from the Ethereum Foundation, yada yada yada, right? So it's not like they're dumb. Sure. But in there's very little going on. It's all hype, frankly. It's all on the promise that something will be built that is really, really amazing. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. Fine, right? Yeah. But on Wax, we're launching fucking 10 projects a day. And all the brands are coming here, and then, right? Just watch NFT Insider. I was thinking about this morning. Like, just like watch NFT Insider for a week, right? And all the little drop calendars that they drop that aren't even all the drops that are happening on Wax. It's just the drops that actually happen to talk to NFT Insider, right? It's intense. And so if/when Wax gets to the same market cap as Cardano, when Wax has 100 or 1,000 times more actual economic activity going on the blockchain, right now, Wax would be 44 times the price that it is right now, more actually, because the market cap for Wax is 900 million right now. So
yeah, I feel like it's an earthquake. I feel like the tension's building. It's and it's gonna crack soon.
So it's
I don't know when. I have no idea. But
yeah. So imagine Wax at $45. Yeah,
dude.
Right? It's bonkers. Actually, that's a lie. It would actually be $22 at 44. Yeah. Sorry, 22. Either way, right? It's like a 10x times 4.
We're playing a show and everyone's invited when that happens.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, the NFTs are on us at that point.
100%,
for sure,
dude. I'm so excited to hear you're playing shows this year. That makes me really, really, really happy.
Thanks, man. Me too.
Because I love jamming with you in Miami, and I would love to do more of that, especially in a more official setting.
Yeah.
Because I think we just make a great bill. Honestly, I really do.
I totally agree. Let's
set up a tour. Let's figure out figure out how to do NFTs. Let's take turns opening for each other. Let's go.
Yeah, that's fun.
That would
even doing a set each in like a 5-song duo thing. Because even just every time we sat down to do anything, it just ended up being really cool.
Totally.
Yeah,
could have it
I
be
love that.
3 hours straight, and there's no
Yeah.
there's no intermission. Fuck you.
I've
Guys.
never.
You have to sit through the
There's
whole
no
thing.
intermission. It's like rock and roll, motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Yeah, man, I was thinking we should at least meet in Austin for a show. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Totally. I'll come to Florida. I don't care.
All right. Yeah. So right now I've got some places north of Tampa where we can play. But I'm gonna develop some. Cause not really too many gigs that I could find really easily in sort of Miami proper, but in Hollywood there's a bunch.
Sure.
So
and I think that's
going to
change as time goes on too. That's my goal is to figure out just a couple of dope venues in enough cities across the country just to make a new touring network. Then we can start giving artists that deserve an opportunity to make a living on the road that opportunity. And there's no better place to start than Florida. I know that, and in Austin, because we're going to be able to play there for the foreseeable future. I know New York and LA and Chicago are getting a little weird with public stuff, but well, I just got to go where people are playing, where we can get people out.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know?
And really, like the looking at everything that I've seen, I don't know, like the likelihood that, I mean, we're gonna see lasting, like this has been in sort of a shock to our system as a civilization, like this whole thing running through and trying to deal with it, and in some ways getting it right, in a lot of ways getting it wrong, and overreacting and underreacting, whatever, right? But it's gonna run its course, and I don't know if it's gonna be towards the end of this year or 2 years from now, but it's people are gonna figure it out, and it's gonna get to the point where it's not as mental, I think. Yeah,
I hope so. I'm concerned about the large metropolitan areas, but I think that
there's so much momentum. It's like that's the thing. Like everybody's worried about that because of the way it is right now, right? But in every situation where you're dealing with something that's exponential, an overreaction is the only thing that will work, right? If you're dealing with anything that's exponential at all, whatever action you take while it's small will look like an overreaction. That's great, right? But on the back end, the amount of momentum, the human momentum of we want to do things together outside, right, is shockingly intense. And that pressure is never going away, right? So whatever they clamp down on now, and however long it lasts past when people think it should last or whatever, right? Because people are going to make different decisions on that. And, people doing the best they can with the information they have, generally speaking, right? The amount of human desire to do things will break through that eventually. Like it will balance back out so that, it gets back to kind of what we were used to. And really, it's been a year?
I believe that. I guess I'm more or less speaking to the New York and LA, like, because I was in LA and watched it deteriorate, and I went back, and I'm never going back. I'm not going to live there again, probably. And I just think it'll be a while until those two cities in particular are recognizable to what they were pre-pandemic. Is really what I guess more or less.
All right, no, that's possible. I mean, I think there's going to be lasting change.
It's going to make rise for Austin and Miami and places like all the mid-major cities like Cincinnati and Lexington and St. Louis and Louisville. All of these cities have so much cool stuff to offer, and they're begging for more entertainment. They're begging for more things for people to do in those areas that I think that we're seeing a shift, and it goes back and forth between where people are and what people focus on between metropolitan, coast, and inland. Like we've gone through many shifts, but well, I'm excited to see the new booms. Like,
me too, and especially now with the distance work being required during all of this, right? And it's funny too, like watching, my wife works at the VA and she worked from home the entire time through the pandemic, did really, really well. Right. And they keep trying to get her to go back. They don't even have an office for her. Right. She used to like be in like floater offices. It's really dumb, but they want her to come back into the hospital. It's like, why would I do that? Like I'm so much more efficient here and I don't have to spend 2 hours in traffic. And I know that conversation is going on all over the place to the point where, you can get a cabin in Georgia or something for far less than we're paying for our little apartment in Miami, if you wanted to do that as an example, and you're out there, right? So the anywhere with even remotely decent internet, I think there's going to be people fleeing the cities, frankly.
It's already happening,
right? And that, I think, to your point, leads to a lot more opportunity for a lot more musicians to make a living out of it, which is really exciting for me, right? It's not just going to be the top 100 artists in stadiums. it's going to be the top 100,000 artists in, you know, awesome venues all over the country.
That's what I see, man. Because that's how music became that's how American music became the most dominant and lucrative export we've ever had, was by all of these little pockets. It was every little city had their own little niche and area, and all those radio stations satellited all of whatever was happening in their area. And that's how touring networks started. That's how you have the difference between Chicago, Memphis, and Austin blues. Like, all of these different things happened, and it was the artists that came before that were influencing the artists of the future. And we have a huge opportunity to do that, because everything got compartmentalized to either coast, and there was this idea that you had to go to a specific geographic location in order to make a career. And for a while that was true. However, that is no longer the case, and nobody told anybody that. So I think that's where we see the opportunity now, and what I think is going to happen naturally, and where I see a huge opportunity as far as like redefining what music radio is, because right now the labels own all the little satellite things. That's why you hear the same stuff on all of these stations. Yeah, we can have an NFT radio that has music available for purchase as NFTs, and we just take back the old AM FM style, where it's just dope hosts that play dope music, and you can own it instead of having to go online and pay for pennies of a stream or all that. Like, we have such a huge opportunity, and we have the blueprint that from how it grew in the first place. We just haven't tried anything new since then. Yeah, it's literally like a 70-year-old business model, and we're not utilizing any of the things that worked to grow it in the first place. Yeah. I think it's like the era, and I think, you know, this is when we kind of started talking about digital vinyl, right? I mean, the era of vinyl, you know, people were, you know, buying records, and the amount of money that was going into that ecosystem fueled just a shocking amount of growth, and artists doing well, and the entire industry doing well, or whatever. And I think NFTs are 10 times that. Right, they're 10 times more powerful. They're 10 times more versatile. There's 10 times more capacity to do, you know, royalties on the back end. You know, the secondary market percentage or whatever. It's just like what you guys are doing with Yoshi drops. I mean, it's going to change the world. Like, it really, really is. I really hope
so. You make it happen, right? Yeah, I mean, it's sitting right there, and you know it can. So you don't have to hope. Make it happen, right? Yeah, and I know you guys will. Just because, like, blues fucking relentless. It's one of the things I love about it.
For real, man. Yeah. I'm so happy to be a part of it, and I'm just trying to do my part, you know, trying to contribute.
Yeah. No, I mean, not even trying. You're totally doing it, and I look forward to it. And yeah, I'll come on the podcast anytime you want. I'll be super excited to do it. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Yeah. So when's the first episode drop?
Middle of January. We don't have an exact date yet, but we're shooting for middle of this month. So next couple weeks. I will divulge that M Blue is the first guest. And then there's a little surprise that we're going to be incorporating every week too, as well.
Tell me it's an NFT clip from the show.
It's a what?
Tell me it's an NFT clip from the show.
That is something we're talking about, but that's not what I had in mind. Okay. You'll see. It's not necessarily for our community. It's more to bring in those who may be curious about crypto, or curious about NFTs, curious about that. But it's
even more reason
a safety net that we're gonna cast NFT out. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's gonna be like want to set up a Wax wallet, and then like instructions with that, and then doing that will automatically gift you your first, something like that is what we're trying to figure out.
That's smart. Yeah, just get if they have a Wax. Excuse me, a Wax wallet, something in their wallet, and a link to Yoshi Drops, Atomic Nifty, whatever it is. You know, they can get like a little tiny snippet of what's going on. I like it. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that it would be cool to have it be like a raffle where we just like put a bunch of different NFTs. Like, maybe they get an Uplift NFT, maybe they get a Legend.art NFT. You know, maybe
I've been wondering about that.
Valuable, you know,
right? Like you do like a sponsored thing where like, hey, listen, like we're going to be giving out, you know, one NFT, whatever, to people that are coming on. You know, instead of getting sponsors giving you money, like, hey, can you give us NFTs? We'll throw them in the pile, and and they end up going out as value to people.
And use it like an onboarding lottery almost. So
I like that. That's cool.
You could listen to Yoshi Drops the Mic and be like, oh, this is interesting. Sign up for a Wax wallet, and then boom, you get a #1 mint, and all of a sudden your collection's worth like $1,000, and it's like, wait, what? Like, or chances are that doesn't happen to everybody, but it's
Still,
like
you get
have
one
that
that's
option.
right. You get one that's worth $1, and like maybe you come back and maybe you don't, and the next time you come back, you're like, wait a minute, why is this worth $5? And the light bulb goes off, right? And that,
Exactly. Give them that dopamine hit, but have it be in a way that actually works for you instead of the way that is
100%.
working for whoever set it up. You know,
right? I like it. All right, hey, listen,
Yeah.
I got to get to my next meeting. Taylor, I freaking love you, man.
Dude, I
I'm
love
excited
you.
about everything that you're doing in the space. Come
Likewise.
back whenever you want. And also, after the first episode drops, we should have you back on just to kind of remind people that's going out there and do like a little bit of a blitz as far as making sure people know that that's coming out.
Yep, I'm excited to go out and talk to people about it, be on shows, and can't wait to have you on. And thank you everybody for listening. Can't wait to play shows with you, dude. That's the biggest takeaway for me. I'm so excited.
Sorry. That'll be fun, man.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you for those tidbits, Marcus.
Oh yeah, I mean, thank the
love
Stoics. I stole them all.
Hey, I appreciate you sharing the knowledge, brother. That's what it's all about.
All right, cheers. Hey, can you do
Thank you all.
can you do the Jimmy chop for me?
The what?
The Jimmy chop.